Hi there, how are you? Wow, I know that over the past couple of weeks I've given you a lot of tips about how to stay healthy over the holidays, or any time of the year for that matter. You know, if you haven't looked at the articles and some of the tips, just click the blog link over here and take a look at some of the past videos. You know, I'm not going to go into it again, but, you know, compound interest, as I shared in the first video, is key. This morning, I was watching the Today Show, and they had a little piece on, you know, baby steps. They were doing this big piece for New Year's on baby steps. And, you know, that's what compound interest is. It's about choices, one small choice each day, one day at a time, so that they add up to build big results. And all the success stories on Today's Show that they were highlighting for the new year was on taking baby steps. In other words, each person who lost, I think it was half their body weight, was the kind of the group of people that they were targeting. That's a lot, isn't it? One of the comments yesterday on the blog was that some young lady would like to lose 50 pounds. So if you haven't read those comments, you know, just go back and look at some of the past articles that we've posted and see what people are saying about their New Year's resolution goals and weight loss. Because what I see is a trend, and we all have similar traits. You know, as I said on the last video, I didn't get healthy, you know, overnight, you know, and without going into my whole story again, you know, when I changed my life, I was 33 years old, and I took a couple of small steps to get healthy. And then each time I added a new step, I made a choice, I made a change, and I became a new person. Every time that you change or improve one small thing, baby steps, as they say on Today's Show, Deb says compound interest. You know, every time you make one small choice, it's going to add up to new results because they compound, because you become a new person. You get to add on to that. One of the things that I mentioned before was that a diet means to sustain life, not to lose weight. One of the reasons why so many weight loss programs don't work is because they're, you know, so restrictive and boring. You know, I saw in the comments and some of the responses I got from the emails this week that, you know, a lot of people don't stick with their diets because they are restrictive, too limited in the way of food. You know, temptation is one of the biggest things that cause people to stop going on a diet. And, you know, I love to eat. And I love to eat healthy food, but I also love to eat, you know, fun and exciting food. And, you know, it wouldn't be unusual for me to make some kind of wild and crazy dessert. And as a matter of fact, last month, or I guess it was October, I made the Leaning Tower of Cheesecake actually 3 times in the month, and it is like awesome. And people kept saying, I can't believe you made that, Deb. Well, it's because we all want to enjoy life and we all want to eat real food. And so choices is really the key to making good healthy eating habits. And it's not about restrictive and restricting your diet. Food should be fun and life should be fun. You know, one of the things that the 8 biggest health mistakes that most people make, if you haven't listened to that recording, sign up for the newsletter, because your first email after you sign up, and is that most people think that they should be buying their food based on what's not in it. And that's what fad diets do. They make you buy food based on fat-free, sugar-free, carb-free. But really what we're looking for is foods that sustain life. You know, I teach nutrition at the culinary school, Yorktown Business Institute here in Pennsylvania. And, you know, the students, at the end of 2 years, they get their associate's degree for chefs. And we were just getting ready for the end of the term and graduation, and 2 of the students that I had, I teach in 3rd term, and they were graduating, finishing up their 4th term, came up to me and said that based on the class that I taught for nutrition in the school, they both had lost, I don't know the exact numbers, but they were coming to thank me for just sharing, you know, the principles of compound interest and how to make small changes and how to own your choices. See, that's what happens a lot of times. We're blaming other people. I saw so many people are too busy to make the right choices. Well, it's really more about, you know, you've prioritized something else other than your health. And so it was interesting to me that both of these young people, not only did they lose over 10 pounds or 15 pounds without even trying, just by incorporating small changes into their life, but also their children did as well. Because, you know, the tips and the techniques that I use and that I'm teaching you are something that the whole family will enjoy, not just diets that use only one thing, but real food and fun food, and just using compound interest to choose up the ladder, make a little bit better choices each day. So I want to show you a really quick tip on how you can visualize in your mind some choices, so that every time you have a choice, every time you put food into your mouth, you're making a choice. And so you can choose up the ladder to use compound interest, baby steps, to make better choices one day at a time. So visualize in your mind a scale of 0 to 10. And everything on that scale that you put in your mouth, everything you put in your mouth is on that scale somewhere. Here. All right, now look. The goal here is to make sure that everything we put in our mouth has value, or at least the best value we can for every bite we take. So let's say 0, visualize in your mind a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being the best value possible for your body, and 0 being the worst value possible in your body. And then you have the 5. Everything above 5 is adding value or nutrition to your health. Everything below a 5 is taking away from your health, reducing your health. And so every single thing we consume or put in our mouth is a choice, and every choice we make can be made a little bit better just by recognizing it. So let's take hydrogenated fats. Hydrogenated fats, I don't know how to spell it. The worst fat on earth. And that's not how you spell it, but that's okay. So let's say 0 is the value of a hydrogenated fat, the worst fat on earth. And so let's say that the best fat on earth over here at number 10, and this is kind of arbitrary, but you know, your omega-3s and your omega-6s are fats that you must consume from your diet, because our bodies have no capabilities of making them, and they're not in all our foods. And so we've all heard about eating fish, and flaxseed has omega-3s and omega-6s. Egg yolks which are actually very good for you. Eggs are very good for you. It's just that we consume too much cholesterol, and the yolks are where the fat is, but eggs have a bad rap. So let's see here. Anything that's above a 5, let's say corn oil is dead center as being kind of the middle of the road. It's the least valuable of all the liquid fats. And so put that on 5. But any fat that's a liquid at room temperature is considered an oil. Oils are always better for you. Anything that's a liquid at room temperature in the world of fats is always better for you than anything that's a solid at room temperature. So we'll put butter here, maybe at a 3. Again, this is kind of arbitrary. And then any monosaturated fats, which include like your olive oils. And you don't have to get all complicated in the technical terms. But olive oils, let's say avocado oil. Avocados are really good for you. And then down here we have our butter. So every time you use a fat in your diet, if you choose up the ladder a little bit, for example, you might be making cookies, and the cookies recipe says use solid shortening. And so solid shortening in a can, no brand names mentioned here, are hydrogenated fats. So if you want to choose up the ladder and make your cookies just a little bit healthier by using compound interest on your behalf, you would use all butter instead of solid shortening, and they probably taste better too. That doesn't mean they're health food. But if you wanted to make those cookies a little bit better, you might choose some canola oil and mix that half and half with your butter and your canola oil. Now you've used compound interest again to make those cookies just a little bit better, because anytime it's a liquid, it's always better for you. So let's say toast, right? Everybody likes butter on their toast. Well, avocados, when they're ripe, spread very nicely. So if you want to use compound interest every day when you eat your breakfast, you use avocados, spread avocados right on your toast. Like you can just spread them on, it's almost the same consistency of butter when they're ripe. You use that instead of butter. You have a nice, rewarding, rich flavor, some fiber added as well, and you've used compound interest to make it just a better choice. Every time you make a choice about any food item, you can apply it to the scale of 0 to 10. Visualize each food item on that scale. All right, let's do it again. Only this time, let's choose something else. On our scale of 0 being the worst choice on earth and 10 being the best choice on earth, see, you can apply this scale to anything, 0 and 10. Let's say we're applying it to, let's pretend it's a holiday. Let's apply it to pumpkin pie. Actually, we don't have to pretend it's a holiday because it is a holiday. But let's apply it to pumpkin pie. The worst pumpkin pie on earth is probably the one that you buy in Walmart. Walmart, and nothing against Walmart. Well, let's not get into that. But pumpkin pie at your grocery store or at one of these big box stores, guaranteed has high fructose corn syrup in it, worst sugar on earth. And actually, pumpkin is one of your top 12 superfoods. So pumpkin is a really good dessert choice in itself. But it also probably is made with white flour. It probably also has hydrogenated fats. And so that is one of the worst pumpkin pies on earth. But let's say we don't have time to make our own pie. And so we're going to buy our pie. Let's get a pie that has just a little bit better value. And we'll buy one at a specialty bakery. So now we know that they use real sugar because we asked them. And they make everything from scratch, so they have no chemicals either. Because the one from the big box store or the grocery store or the freezer case probably has chemicals as well. And so let's say we're one of those kind of people that it's a health food nut, and we want to make the best pumpkin pie on earth. Let's make a pumpkin pie that's a 10. We're going to use whole wheat pie crust. We're going to probably put oats in the pie crust, add some extra fiber, and we're going to use broccoli sugar, right? Broccoli sugar, because all vegetables have carbs in them. If it's not a protein or a fat, it is a carb. And so the best sugar on earth, I don't really know what it is, but let's pretend it's broccoli sugar. Well, chances are if you make a pumpkin pie with broccoli sugar, whole grain crust, added oats, and all kinds of nutritional value, your family's going to say, I'm not eating that, Mom. And so rather than doing that, you could step your pumpkin pie up just one more notch here and make it from scratch and use whole wheat pie crust. Because when you make your own pumpkin pie, guaranteed you're not putting any chemicals in it, guaranteed you're not putting any high fructose corn syrup in it. And so the best choice you can make is always going to be just a little bit better. It's not about being perfect every time you eat. It's about just using compound interest each time to do the best you can in every situation to step up the ladder just a teeny weeny little bit. So you see, the way healthy people live is not to look for fat-free, sugar-free, carb-free, not to look for what they don't want. What healthy people do is look for what they do want, and they're not like doing it so crazy-like that it turns people off. You know, that person's a health food nut, you know, stay away from her, she's going to make you eat healthy. What I get that once in a while. But using the scale of visualizing to own your choice, and there's always something you can do to choose up the ladder and make what you're putting in your mouth have just a little bit better value. And the beauty of this system is that it works forever, and it works with your whole family because the foods are yummy. And, you know, eating real food that's fun, fast, and healthy, that's my motto, is going to be enjoyable for the whole family. And fast is the key here, in my opinion. And, you know, making sure that you make good choices. When I think I mentioned in the last video that Matthew had joined the program to get his son. His son was overweight, and he joined so that his son, he could make some changes in his family's diet, and his son could get to lose some weight. And that actually happened. It worked really well. And what also happened was that Matthew's cholesterol dropped tremendously. But there's a CD that I created. I know that I told you how the program was developed. The 6-week program was developed by accident in the last video. And after a few months, I realized that people needed more, because a CD was something that you could put in the car, and even if the kids don't want to listen, boom, it's in the car, or the husband, and they're listening, and they get on board too, because they hear this information even though they're not participating in the 6-week program as well. What happened though locally, at being somewhat famous, I have a local TV show for cooking here in York, Pennsylvania, and the Borders in South Central Pennsylvania, as well as Sam's Club, started carrying the CD set, which gave them a card to go ahead and opt in online. So it became quite popular kind of on a local environment, but it's a support system that kind of brings the whole family involved in the program when you actually share it with them, even if they don't want to hear it. If there's one thing I learned from your comments and surveys on previous articles, as well as on the survey that I sent out last week, it is that everybody wants more energy and everybody's busy. It's like you are not alone, because it's kind of across the board, that's the issue. And so the way I live is fun, fast, and healthy food, and that's what I'm here to teach you how to do as well. Cooking healthy does not have to be more expensive, nor does it have to be more time-consuming. The only thing that does require is thought, pre-planning. And so what I like to teach is skill power. No willpower required, just skill power. Because in this day and age, when we manufacture everything, it does take a little bit of skill to make good choices, shopping, and things like that. So we're going to have one more tip for you before we kick off our New Year's diet support group next week. And so look for another quick tip.